Origin chance, home message reaction. This is what if Horus killed the Emperor / won the Heresy? Warhammer 40k lore by the channel, obviously Majorkill. Yeah, that whiny little bitch. He's gonna kill the Emperor, really? War master my ass. He thought he's just gonna walk his ass up to Terra and just point blank attack him. What a war master, right? What a strategy. Yeah, he was never gonna win, let's be honest. Only reason he got far the way, at least at the level he went, is because Emperor was still stunned by it, right? Emperor probably didn't want to kill him, but in the end it just became inevitable, so he killed him, right? Because no way in hell Horus is gonna kill Emperor, right? I guess if Emperor wasn't stunned as that level, and if he saw the heresy coming, right, the heresy wouldn't have even got to the point which the level it did, right, in the first place. It was a surprise attack. That's what kind of stunned him. But yeah, in a way at least, right, at the scale we're talking about, surprise attack in the scale. It didn't just immediately surprise, but yeah, still. Alright, let's do this one. Hello Majorkill, all the things he explained, very short videos, but it's just fun topics, like what if this happened, what if that happened, alternate history, this and that. It's always a fun topic. Let's do it.
Gal, there are a lot of what ifs in 40k lore, many which actually have been somewhat explored in the source material, whether it be by seeing potential futures or time travel. However, the biggest what if, the what if that would change everything, is what if Horus beat the Emperor and claimed victory during the Horus Heresy? What if after mangling Sanguinius, he then turboed his daddy? Would he become the Supreme Master of the Galaxy? Would he then be soon killed by Rogel Dawn or the arriving Leman, Lion and Gilliman? Would the Chaos Gods kill him now that his primary purpose had been achieved?
Yeah,
there are a lot of question marks regarding what would have actually happened if Horus got what he wanted.
Okay, I don't think Chaos Gods never wanted to actually rule the world. Only reason they did heresy because they thought Emperor is kind of overachieving and reaching places they never thought anybody would or something like that. So I don't think they would kill Horus and just claim the victory. Chaos Gods want life to go on. They want wars to go on. They want diseases to go on and so forth, right? They are embodiment of all these things, right? So they're not the one who want to rule everything, I think, right? So I don't think they would kill Horus and claim victory or something like that, take everything over. But still, I don't think Horus would have gone on after that, right? I think lots of other Xenostasis would have were part of it. I think Imperium would have been in chaos, right? Because after this, I guess Emperor being the god kind of stabilized Imperium at the level it is in the 41st millennia, right? I don't know.
But fortunately, by using my small brain, embarrassingly thorough knowledge of Warhammer lore at the expense of me having a functional social life and sheer girth, I've been able to narrow it down to a couple likely outcomes. Before we get started, the Major Minis painting competition is nearly at an end. Literally 24 hours to submit your paint jobs, and guys, I am so humbled by the response. We have had over 300 entries, with many of those being seriously impressive and creative works. It's crazy to think that something I worked on, produced, printed, and sent out to you guys and gal would get such amazing effort put into them. This will be the easiest $10,000 that I'll ever give away. You guys have earned every cent of it. I'll be announcing the winners later this week in its own video, so if you've entered, keep an eye out for that. But irrespective of the competition, the minis are all stocked and ready for whoever wants them, whether that be the Golden Warriors of the Emperor, the Space Elves, the Chaotic Legions, or other alien forces. There is a mini here for everyone. It's always nice when people are like, hey man, I got your mini, and actually ended up buying a full official army because of it. It creates this symbiotic vibe with GW where the success of one is the success of both. We're currently running a 20% off discount for the Etsy and eBay stores to help get those off the ground, so that's probably the best place to purchase right now. Today we'll go over what would have happened had Horus defeated the Emperor, starting with the immediate aftermath, followed by how it would have impacted the setting from then on. Let's get into it. There is actually an in-law prophecy that detailed exactly what would have happened if Horus won, that I want to start with. However, it's important to remember that foresight and prophecy within 40k is fluid and subject to change on a whim. So while this was a potential future, there's a small chance it actually would have occurred. Basically, it goes something like, if Horus beat the Emperor, the Civil War would not end. If anything, it'd get more vicious as mankind tore itself apart. Chaos would dominate the galaxy, but there would be nothing but bloodshed and war. The Chaos Gods would swell with power. However, Horus
like 41st millennia, isn't that already happening? Right? Even if Emperor being dead / not dead, the war, KD, all that should still happen.
Hate himself. he's small shreds of nobility tormenting him and his actions until he tears his own forces apart, ultimately ending in mankind's extinction within a few centuries. The Chaos Gods, swollen with power, would then implode as their main food source is completely decimated, resulting in the death of Chaos and a peaceful galaxy in which the Xeno races, most notably the Elder, would rise from the ashes and more or less repeat the exact same cycle that occurred after the War in Heaven.
I mean,
However,
I was
this
about to say,
prophecy
Elder,
hinged
come on.
on Vulcan not being able to get to Terra and create the Talisman of Seven Hammers, a dead man switch that basically meant if the Golden Throne was to fail or power down, then a mega nuke would completely obliterate Terra and wipe out everything on it, and in the surrounding system. Vulcan did reach Terra and did create the Talisman, hence the Cabal's prophecy went kaput, and then Eldrad fucking killed them all, so no, the only in-law prophecy we have of what could have happened is invalid and would not happen regardless. But let's pull it back a bit and set the scene. Terra is burning and the void shields of the vengeful spirit have been dropped. The Emperor, Sanguinius, Rogel, and their elite warriors teleport onto the ship to fight the War Master. Sanguinius reaches Horus first and is killed. The Emperor arrives and the two warriors fight. The Emperor is brutalized, but begins summoning up a powerful psychic attack to obliterate Horus's soul. However, before he can do it, Horus impales him with his talon and then bludgeons the Emperor's skull in, killing the Emperor of Mankind. The immediate aftermath is easy to know and would probably end in Horus's death one way or
It was
another.
that easy. Horus the idiot. All he had to do is just bludgeon his head, and Emperor is dead.
Rogel arrives in the chamber, seeing both his dead father and Sanguinius. He flies into a rage so deep that even Angron would blush. He fights Horus and honestly probably kills him. After all, Horus had just fought Sanguinius, the Emperor, and was still low-key dying from his wound from Lehman.
That makes sense.
However, even if Horus was able to kill Rogel, it's probably for naught, as after a short while, Malkador's essence would fade, powering down the Golden Throne and activating the Talisman of Seven Hammers. In an instant, Terra and its surrounding space is completely eviscerated, not just physically, but also on a spiritual level.
Wait a minute, wouldn't Horus figure that out? That there's this nuke there, if the throne powers down eventually and just fucks off as soon as the Emperor dies, because his job is done. Why would he stay around to fight anybody else?
Demons are not just banished, but given permadeath, as the entire legions of the Death Guard, White Scars, Blood Angels, Sons of Horus, Imperial Fists, Emperor's Children, and World Eaters are also deleted. On top of that, many thousand Sons, Word Bearers, and Night Lords are also killed. The surrounding trader fleet also isn't spared, with the Vengeful Spirit and all other ships also getting in the Emperor's extremely spiteful revenge blast. Horus is annihilated, alongside the corpses of his father and brothers. Jagadai Khan is also destroyed as he was on Terra. Same goes for Vulcan, who likely won't be able to regenerate due to the destructive nature of the talisman. Fortunately for the traders, by this point Angron, Magnus, and Mortarion had been banished through conventional means, hence weren't destroyed by the blast, with Perturabo having already quit the siege before this. It's not clear if Fulgrim was still on Terra at this point, but let's just say he is.
I mean, I don't think Emperor's soul or Horus's soul at this point would be destroyed, right? So wouldn't they go back to warp or something? Because Emperor literally deleted Horus, right? So he can't come back or something, right? He just deleted his soul or something. So wouldn't this way nobody's soul is deleted, that's still in the warp or something? At least Emperor would have power to survive there, right? Somehow.
Is and also gets destroyed because, you know, fuck Fulgrim. The Astronomicon also winks out, making warp travel extremely difficult. So Horus's victory almost immediately kills Horus, Fulgrim, and the vast majority of the traitor legions, as well as Vulcan, Jagadai, Rogel, Sanguinius, and the Emperor. This leaves the Lion, Gilliman, Russ, and maybe Corvus alive on the Loyalist side, which makes the Loyalists seem outnumbered by the traitors until you realize that their legions are intact, whereas all the traitor legions, bar the Iron Warriors, Alpha Legion, Night Lords, and Word Bearers, are now completely gone, with next to no chance of rebuilding. Magnus, Angron, and Mortarion are also going to have a very shit time attempting to return to real space, now that all their sons are dead, and there's a good chance they actually won't be able to reform in the warp at all. Either way, mankind is pretty fucked on both sides. Perturabo and his Iron Warriors begin to fortify the Imperial worlds they have taken, whilst the Word Bearers become the new primary Legion of Chaos, with Lorgar even probably attempting to take the title of War Master to himself, although it's a pretty empty title at this point. Conrad will have done what he did in canon, fucking off to Saguelsa with his legion, whilst the Alpha Legion will go to ground. Not sure what the fuck to do, since the prophecy that they had based their legion's loyalty off was just now shown to be total bullshit. The Lion would go to Caliban just like in canon and would likely suffer a similar result, that being put into a coma as Caliban is sucked into a warp storm.
Yeah, this makes me think that things, everything would be so sparsed out now, right? There is no one singular thing. Right now, even after the heresy, what it is, right? Emperor still on the throne, fight between Chaos and Imperium still going on. It's just one thing they're fighting, right? Because of this, everything would be, you know, chaotic, right? Everybody would just basically fuck off, right? Because all that, whatever traitor legions left, you know, their goal is no longer there. So they would just do their own thing, would go away, right? And everything would be chaos. Like Imperium is fucked because Terra is gone, everything's gone, interstellar travel is gone. I guess millennia goes by, and I guess if eventually something rises up from humanity, right? Maybe they figure out warp travel again, right? And they realize these are relics of the past, right? And slowly threats rise up from here and there. Slowly they realize that there is a chaos, this space marines and things like that. Slowly some traitor legions pop up here and there for their own plotting or whatever. Pockets of different things pop up. It creates this kind of a weird, unknown reality. But yeah, I could see a game about it, let's just say.
Lehman
or a movie, why
to
not?
Fenris, the trip taking fucking ages due to no Astronomicon. However, since he is a Primarch, his Primarchiness would eventually get him there. It's likely he would then enter the Eye of Terror to search for some way to atone for his failures, maybe even still seeking out the Tree of Life like he did in canon. Guilliman would return to Ultramar, re-establishing the Imperium Secundus as himself as the new Emperor, since there is literally no one else for the job anymore. It's also likely he would establish better relations with the Elder out of desperation, recruiting their aid to help him get to Ultramar without the use of the Astronomicon. They would most likely help,
let's be honest,
seeing G-Men as a reliable ally. Mankind would live on. However, their role in 40k would be massively diminished. On top of that, the very few surviving traitor Astartes wouldn't have Fabius Bile to help them with their gene seed issues, as he was on Terra when it went kaput. Likewise, the Loyalists would be confined to small pockets, with Mankind returning to a similar status like they were during the Age of Strife. Most human worlds would fall without the support of the others, and the human population would plunge dramatically, further weakening Chaos. The Xeno empires would rise, most notably the Greenskins and Elder, since they now have a weakened galaxy to plunder. After 10,000 years or so, the Tyranids would still arrive and the Necrons would still awaken. It's unclear if the Greenskins or Elder would be able to hold off or repel the Necrons and Tyranids, as the Imperium is currently doing in canon. Or maybe Guilliman was able to get another Astronomicon or Pharos device working, allowing the Imperium to
I think because of Guilliman, there would be a bigger role for Imperium. Imperium would be still fucked, but Chaos would be fucked as well. So I guess it's leveling off, right? And Imperium wouldn't be as big as it is in 41st millennia, but neither would be Chaos. Everybody else would be just there, but they were never that big to begin with, right? Eldar, Necrons are slowly building up. Orcs would be Orcs, Tyranids would be Tyranids. They would still face threat, but I guess Guilliman would have figured something out, right? He's the only competent guy there is. There's a reason why in the newer update he's the only guy around. He's the only hope. So I guess he would be the only hope then.
Reborn. Maybe the spirit of the Emperor would reincarnate.
That's what I'm saying.
After all, he was a perpetual, leading mankind into a second Great Crusade. After all, why would the Emperor have gotten Vulcan to create the talisman if it didn't provide mankind with a slim second chance? The Emperor wasn't really known as a spiteful sore loser who would do something like that for the lulz. It's also made clear in canon that Vulcan getting to Terra to create the talisman is extremely important. The more time that goes on, the harder it is to predict what would happen, as the infinite strands of fate would continue to diverge. But the most likely outcome would be a galaxy dominated by Xenos, as the last
Yeah, but I think Emperor would have risen off or become true god from warp or something, right? Because why would he not? He was already godlike at that point.
Bastions of humanity fought to survive, until the Necrons and Tyranids turbo fuck everyone and then go toe-to-toe in the most hectic Xeno vs Xeno grudge match ever.
Yeah, I love that.
The Milky Way would become a galaxy completely devoid of life, either by getting consumed by the Tyranids, or the only thing that walks would be the mechanical soulless legions of the Necrons. But let's quickly say the talisman malfunctions and doesn't go off, or Chaos is able to prevent it from ruining everything. Then the duel between Horus and Rogel would have a lot more riding on it. Regardless, Terra would be doomed, as Malkador's body dies, allowing the demons that were behind the webway portal within the Imperial dungeon to pour forth, attacking the Imperial defenders from the rear
Terra
and
would be like
overrunning
Kadia,
Terra
I
in
guess. I
hours.
don't know.
The traders wouldn't be able to stay on Terra, however. With the Ultramarines, Dark Angels, and Space Wolves arriving, the traders would have to leg it, as the Loyalists would exterminatus Terra, seeing it as a completely lost cause. Without the Astronomicon, the traders can easily slip away from the Loyalists. Rogel Dawn would die, either at the hands of Horus or being trapped on the Vengeful Spirit. By this point, however, Horus had fulfilled his purpose and his death wouldn't actually mean that much. The Traitor Legions would carve up the galaxy and rule different sections, with a few remaining Loyalists fighting for survival. Once the last of the Loyalist Primarchs had been killed or were missing, with Ultramar and Fenris getting sieged and destroyed by overwhelming numbers, the traitors would turn on each other, tearing each other to shreds in a few generations, somewhat fulfilling the Cabal's prophecy. Humanity would be weak as shit.
I think, if that scenario happened, if the Chaos Legions are still intact, I think Chaos Guards would be more conniving. They would scheme things with a larger role that benefits them. I don't think the Chaos side would have been ended like that. Zinch or something, somebody would have plotted some big thing that benefits them in the long run, right? They would dominate Galaxy in a way. Because before it was, but now since they have Chaos Legions, why wouldn't they do something like that? Why wouldn't they, not point blank, but somewhat rule Galaxy in a way that creates fail-safes here and there, right? That benefits them.
Which would once again pave the way for Xeno dominance. So ironically, despite one of the main reasons for the Heresy breaking out being to make mankind stronger against Xenos, a Horus victory would more than likely result in aliens ruling the galaxy with mankind barely holding on. There is next to no chance that the divided Traitor Legions would have survived the War of the Beast. A clean Horus victory or the activation of Vulcan's talisman would end up with a similar result, the only real difference being that the talisman would give the Imperium a chance, whilst no talisman would forever doom the Loyalists. What is interesting though is there really isn't any future where Chaos gets to dominate and rule supreme. It's just not in their nature. They can't govern or manage a galaxy-spanning empire. The Imperium is fucked as it is, even having countless sextillion administrators to keep everything somewhat afloat.
Yeah, but Chaos wouldn't do that, right? Like even I said in the start of the video, it doesn't make sense for Chaos Guards to want to rule anything. Otherwise they would have started a long time ago. But I think, Chaos Guards also feed on things. So they would, create some failsafe that makes, Galaxy turmoil chaotic in the first place. They make sure the wars go on for the Khorne, right? Disease pestilence would go on, right? Singe would be more conniving, scheming, Slanesh being Slanesh. I think, they would still use Chaos Space Marines in some way.
Imagine Chaos trying to do that. A bunch of fucking monkeys that wouldn't know how to turn a computer on. They are only somewhat competent in canon as they have a common enemy that they have to survive against. Take that away and gee whiz, their defeat at the end of the Heresy is probably the best thing that could have happened to them. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up a Major Mini.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I feel like Chaos would be more conniving. I guess before the Heresy, they didn't need to create something like Chaos and Space Marine, Chaos Legions. But because Emperor became too big, they had to. And since they have this tool with them now, why wouldn't they use it? I mean, Chaos Guards are not stupid. Let's be honest. Yeah, they can't govern because they don't want to govern, right? If they're gonna rule the galaxy, I mean, how does that work? They are embodiment of all these different things like war, pestilence, disease, things like that. But yeah. Well, people, that was What If Horus Killed the Emperor / Won the Heresy. Watch it on Majorkill. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.